Hello, everybody. Guess it's going to be a slightly weird one. Technical difficulties, that kind of thing. Yada, yada, yada. I get just running a tiny bit behind, too, if that's not completely obvious. I have run into issue after issue on this. And so you'll have to forgive me, a little technical difficulty. My screen's behind me, that's why you're looking at the side of my head right now, trying to get everything set up. Trying to figure out a way to monitor the chat. That's probably not the way to do it. This is the way to do it. Hope you're all having a lovely Wednesday. Maybe having a few less technical difficulties than I am having. It has been a day of technical difficulties all around. Oh my God. Just one after another. I got paperwork I'm supposed to sign. I can't sign it because the application's broken. I'm trying to do this and everything's coming up weird and wonky. We're going to figure it out though. I'm trying right now. There we go. Let's get a shareable link. Sorry about this. Like I said, I was running late. That posted. Just posting these links here. Sorry again about the hassle, delay, whatever. Post. Okay. And let's look at this. We're going to watch it, but we're going to mute. Mute. Play. There we go. Look, that's me. That's the side of my head right there. Okay. So this way I can have the chat up and look over and see what's going on. Welcome. So this is a request. Sorry if this is a weird angle too, like looking right up. I don't know, hopefully you can't see too far up my nose. I got everything set up weird. I'm still figuring out all the whole streaming thing. I think I more or less have the deal figured out when it's on my computer, but when I'm just streaming from the desktop, but these sort of real world things are a little trickier. Thought I'd be able to use my iPad, but it's dead. I think it's forgot to charge it. Of course, I don't have a cable long enough. It's one thing after another. Anyway, hopefully this will all make good sense to everyone who's comes by here. And I won't knock this around too much. This is all pretty precarious. All right, so today we are talking about using effects with the MicroFreak, or really any synthesizer that's similar that either doesn't have its own effects built in, or maybe you don't like the effects, or you like them fine, but you want something different. All reasonable reasons to screw around with this kind of stuff. And so what you would need here, you'll need a synthesizer, the MicroFreak in this case. You'll need 3 guitar cables, at least 3 or 4, depending on how you want to hook it up and what how your synth is set up, and what you have on the other end to some degree too. And then obviously some way to monitor that goes. Some way to record / monitor, that you're pointing to. That's highly variable, obviously, depending on what your setup looks like. So this one, we've got we got the MicroFreak, and then for our effects unit, we have the Zoom Multistomp MS70 CDR. This is a super common pedal. There's a new version of it out now, too, that's a little fancier. This thing's been around for years. we were discussing it online, and someone said that if you buy enough gear, I think they specifically said if you buy enough Euro rack modules, one just appears in your collection, and that's basically true. Like these things are basically ubiquitous. If you collect enough hardware, eventually you just end up buying one, or someone gives you one, or you trade for one or something. It seems like everyone has one of these things. So that makes it a good one to demonstrate on. It also has a ton of different effects in it, so we can kind of experiment with some different things and see what kind of different sounds we can get. And yeah, and then everything else is just, we'll go over that briefly when we get to it. But okay, let's start with cables. You just want to use a regular guitar cable. So that's a TS cable, tip sleeve. You can hear it's plugged into my interface there, so it's giving us some, oh goodness, there it is. Okay, and then that plugs into, it says L mono here on the thing, so that's where it plugs in. If you have a synth with stereo outputs, you could use two cables, that's what I was saying, 3 or 4, to plug into both sides. You could also use 2, we'll get into that in just a second. Coming out of there, we just have 2 more guitar cables. I'm not going to unplug these because it's a giant pain in the ass to move everything and get it back in, but they're just regular guitar cables, just like the one I just showed you, except longer. And those go directly to my interface, going into the computer, so that you can hear. Make sure my inputs are up. That's maxed out. Oh, I see that one was way down. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to check and make sure these are more or less at the same level. Looks like that's on. Okay, they're close enough. Okay, and this actually has a little effects on it. I like it. Not being super scientific here, but let's turn that off. So interesting thing about this, actually, when you plug into this, it turns on and off by plugging into it. So see, it's off now, and when I turn this in, plug that in, it turns on. I'm powering this off battery power. You can power it off battery or like a 9-volt adapter. I use battery power because when I use a 9-volt adapter with this, at least the 9-volt adapter that I got when I bought it, it's noisy. There's a ton of noise. I don't know if that's a fault in mine or whatever, but I was able to solve it by just using batteries, so I use batteries. So if you're having a noise problem, you might try batteries. And that's actually a good little pro tip for you whenever you're, if you run into weird problems like that, like power problems in particular. If you can power something by batteries and you're having a weird noise problem, and especially if it's on USB power, try powering it via batteries and see if that solves your problem. Okay, so that is enough setup. So we go directly out of here into the left mono input, because this is a single output, right? So mono input rather. And then we go stereo out. We could go mono, but a lot of these effects actually add stereo imaging. And so it's good to go stereo out if you can. If you can't, it's fine. You're going to get a less full, a less polished, maybe you could say, sound, but it definitely will sound different, especially if you're A-Bing it, but it's one of those things you can get by in a pinch if you've only got one cable, for example. Like, maybe you only own 2 guitar cables, and so you don't have an option to go in stereo, or you don't have one that's long enough, or whatever. You can go mono. It won't kill anything. You can always, do things later to fatten the stereo image up and whatever anyway. Yeah, so it goes mono into here and then comes out stereo, and the effects pedal is going to add some stereo for us, right? Okay, so right now, these are just some sounds that I made. Okay, so kind of a melancholic wavetable lead, right? And yeah, so let's just go ahead and try our first effects. The first thing I've got dialed up here is a chorus. So this is the dry sound. Okay, let me turn on the chorus. Now it's a little bit louder. That's not really the key effect we're going for here, but I think you can also hear that there's more width, more movement, a kind of a gloss over the top. It sounds more polished. Sounds a little more what you might call, hey, Eldritch, darker beat. You're not hearing the MicroFreak. Oh no! No sound on the stream. Okay, hold on. Let's see if we can turn this up. Beep, beep, beep. Well, let's just try turning the inputs up all the way. I feel like that's maybe too loud. It's a good thing I looked over at this this thing here. Oh, I see what's going on. Hold on. Okay, let me figure this out here. Like I said, technical difficulties, right? Right? Add source. We want... Let's see if this works here. Sorry, I need to turn these back down now, or I'm going to blast your ears, I suspect. So, yeah, so those of you who have... No, why is that not working? Come on, man. Oh, my goodness. Okay, why? Why are you like this? Oh, my goodness. Are we going to have to... This is stupid. Okay. Close. Sorry about this, y'all. Let's get properties. That's what we want. That's okay. I think I figured it out. Oh my goodness. Here we go. So I had this set up for my old setup. Not my new one. Thank goodness I looked over there and we didn't waste too much time. Is that better? Are we good now? I know there's going to be a little delay here before you guys catch up and let me know what's up. Alright, so let's do our examples again. Cool. All right. Excellent. Sorry about that again. Thank you for sticking with me, y'all. And yeah, again, I think I mentioned this when I logged on, but some of you might not have joined. My screen is behind me because of the way I have this set up. Due to a bunch of technical difficulties, I actually cannot see the chat without turning around, like to stare at the screen. So you'll forgive me if it takes me a minute to see comments. I hope. And I also hope that this isn't too weird of a view. Hi, right up my nose, right? Okay. So here's the sound dry. This is just kind of a little melancholy wavetable sound, right? Okay. And we'll add some chorus. I hope that's not too loud now. See, now we're going to be clipping things. Clipping! We're clipping! Yep, it's definitely getting up there. Okay, let me turn these inputs down just a little bit. I don't want to clip this or anything, so. All right. So chorus is like one of their more basic effects. It's the C and the CDR. And we will do this classic CDR setup. So that's chorus, delay, reverb. That's kind of an all-timer. Like if you were just getting started with music production and you're trying to figure out effects and you're not sure what kind of effects to put on something, if you go with a combination of chorus, delay, and reverb as a starting point in that order, chorus, then delay, then reverb, you will usually, I mean, it might not be what you're after, but you're not going to go too far wrong with that. Like it's a good starting point to kind of help you figure out what it is that you're after. Okay, so on this effects pedal, to modify the actual settings, you got these three knobs here. I hope you can see these well enough. It's depth, rate, and mix are the three core controls, and then there's a second page which has a few other controls, tone and level. Level is just the output level of the overall effect, so you can bump it up a little bit or cut it down if you're clipping something. And the tone is a simple EQ control, right? Like the tone control on a stereo, bass one way, treble the other. And then, so with the chorus mixing, you're going to want to usually mix it 50-50. Rate and depth should be essentially self-explanatory. Depth is, how deep the effect goes. A very shallow one will be a very subtle effect, and a very deep effect will basically, like is a vibrato. Your pitch is going to be up and down and up and down. Chorus basically takes a copy of the signal and detunes it slightly and plays the two against each other for a beating effect, the same as when you're detuning two oscillators in a synthesizer. That's essentially what you're doing, is creating a chorus. And then we'll usually also modulate. So the depth's much higher here, and you can hear the difference in the effect. And if we turn the rate really up, so with low-ish rate and low depth settings, chorus is a very simple, a very subtle effect rather, just adds a little life to it. And then at higher settings, it's much different, almost more transformative, if you will. And usually you're going to use somewhat moderate combinations of rate and depth. I personally like kind of slow sweeping choruses with moderate depth, but sometimes a really fast chorus, especially if it's shallow, can be good. I keep trying to play chords, but this is a monophonic sound. Let's go to the next sound. This is another wavetable sound. Pretty nice, right? With chorus. Your pads can really be improved by chorusing. It's kind of one of their core utilities, their core chorus utilities, I should say, is making your pads come to life. All right, so on this synthesizer, another thing, let me show you real quick. If you're actually using this, not synthesizer, effects unit, this multi-stomp, it's a good practice to always start with a line selector as your first effect. It doesn't really take much, if any, of the sort of processing power of the unit, but what it lets you do is switch all your effects on and off at once, right? You can always switch them on and off individually, like that's what the little red light is, right? This is on, this is off, on. But when you have multi-effects, which we're going to go to multi-effects in just a second, then it's nice to be able to shut them on and off individually, but it's also nice to just be able to hit one button, especially performing live. This can be a lifesaver. Maybe you have an effects set in this that's on the chorus of your song. So when you go to the chorus, you kick it on, all your effects come on, you play your solo, whatever, the sequence for the chorus, and then when you go back to the verse, you kick it back off, and so those effects aren't all at once. You have to go through and click off 5 effects or whatever. And this can make chains of, I don't think it has a limit of how many chains, or maybe it's like 6 or 8 or something like that. But sometimes you'll run out of processing power, and it'll just tell you like, hey, we can't add any more things. But it's actually remarkably powerful. Okay, so chorus. And then to add another one, you just go to hold the empty direction, and it'll say, oh, okay, well, what do you want to add in here? And we're going to add a delay. Okay, that's just the standard delay. Let's go back. We'll turn the chorus off so you just hear the delay. Right? That's what delay does. You know what delay does. Got settings for time, feedback, and mix. And then on the second page, you've also got high damping. You can switch it to mono, control the level, and determine whether or not the tails continue once you switch the effect off or not. And that just, so if you, for example, chorus of your song, you got some delay on your guitar or your synthesizer and it's wee, 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 woo. And then when you go to switch back to the verse, if you hit that pedal with the tail switch on, I think it's the tails continue, and with it off, they just cut off immediately, or vice versa. Either way, but it's a somewhat esoteric setting, but good to know. Good to know. Okay, so. But like with any delay, time and feedback are our core things here. There is a tap tempo. You can do it by just hitting this button twice. So you go, let's do, see if I can hit 120 beats per minute. So it's, just do count staying alive, right? Deep, 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 deep. Yeah, okay. 120 beats per minute. I don't know if you saw that, but I hit my thing precisely. I used to love house music. So 120 beats per minute is part of my DNA. So once you set the tap tempo, you can go up here and set your settings for quarter notes, eighth notes, dotted notes, whatever. So let's exit this. So now you got the sense of delay. Let's put it with the chorus. And you can see this is, as we add more effects, this pad is becoming bigger, richer. There's just more going on with it. It's an enrichment thing, right? It's adding juice to your to what you're trying to do here. Oh yes, weird. Again, technical difficulties today. I don't know what's going on. I usually don't stream with this setup. And I probably should have spent some time in the last day or two trying to set it up, but I'm a busy guy, so I didn't really have time to do that. So I got it all set up this morning. Apologize for any confusion or whatever. Okay, so now we got chorus. We're going to go ahead and turn it back off for a second. We got delay. You know what those do. And again, so I'm just holding this button down to add another one. If you just hold this here, it'll add one in that direction. And they go from virtual right to virtual left. Here's the input, right? It's on the right hand side, and the output's on the left. And that you can just pretend that inside here are a bunch of little pedals, right? So we don't want. So we got a chorus, we got a delay. Let's add a reverb. And here we're gonna switch through some of them, and we're gonna go to. I don't know if you can see these. These are just different reverbs it has. Let's try the plate. Okay, so reverb settings, pre-delay, decay, and mix. Pre-delay is how long before the first reverb reflection comes back. So this sort of simulates the size of the room. We'll make it relatively small. Decay is essentially how long the reverb takes to decay. Mix is how much reverb we're getting in. So this is set to, pre-delay is set to 7, decay is set to 52, mix is set to 43. That's relatively high for the reverb, but obviously I want to show you what it's doing. And then we'll look at the page. Oops, page. Second, we got color. That's like a tone control, timbre control, low and high damping. And then tails, same kind of thing with the delay and overall level, right? Okay. So let's just have a listen to this. If I make the decay bigger. Might be, let's maybe switch sounds here to something that that's a long decay, right? so reverb's providing an illusion of space in a different way than delay does. I mean, a reverb is really a bunch of delays bundled together and filtered, but that's neither here nor there. And yeah, and typically you would want to put it at the end of your mix. You can put it anywhere in your mix, your effects lineup, but for a traditional sound, this is sort of the order. And if you're going to use a distortion or effect, you would put that either before or after the chorus, kind of depending on preference. I would say before, generally speaking. Again, as a starting point, you might end up on the other side of it, or even after the delay or something like that. But just as a rule of thumb, when you're laying out your effects, distortion effects, modulation effects, delay effects, reverb effects. That's sort of your starting order for a quote-unquote normal sound. And then from there, you do whatever you want to go crazy. I mean, effects are definitely a way to make sounds go from sort of like, oh, cool, to, really wild shit. I guess what I'm trying to say is they help take sounds over the top. Let's keep looking at different reverbs here. There are a ton of reverbs in this thing. I like this cave reverb pretty well. I don't know why, it's always worked for me. And then there's some more esoteric ones up here, tremolo reverb, some clones, if you will, of popular things. There's a shimmer reverb. This particle reverb's pretty good. It's like a granular reverb of some kind, I want to say. So, kind of nice, right? I'll turn on these effects too. So that's for comparison's sake here. Dry sound. It's quite a bit different, right? But yeah, so we'll get a little more into this, but that is basically the basics. If you are just looking to add a little sweetening, if you will, to your MicroFreak mixes or other small synthesizer that doesn't have built-in effects, and you have a similar setup to this, that's it. That's all you have to do. Just run it through. Keep those sort of rules of thumb in mind when you're getting started. Once you're comfortable with the effects and what they do, obviously you can move things around. There are definitely no rules. There's lots of fun little tricks you can do, like if you put a phaser after your reverb and get the settings just right, you can make it sound like you're underwater. And that's a cool effect. People like to put chorusing after reverbs. You can do weird stuff like run a reverb into a chorus into another reverb and get some crazy effects for your ambient tracks. But the key really is, and it's good also to get a sense of different sounds through different effects configurations, right? So here's just like a weird pad sound. And with this particle reverb, you get this like, it's doing like a whole thing. Space hole. I'm gonna say that's like a black hole, mangled space. Yeah, these. And finding out which of these you like is, I wish I could tell you that there's a cool shortcut, but there's not. You just gotta try them all and see what you like. To get into the nitty gritty of this pedal, would I recommend this? If you can get one under $100, I would recommend it. If you have to pay more, I think they retail for like $130 or $140, and for that they're okay. It's fine. But if you need a hardware effects unit and you can get one for under $100, I highly recommend it. If you have to pay more than 100, it's a qualified recommend. It's still a good deal. It's just like not an amazing deal. If you can get one I got this for $65, and for that, it's an amazing deal. And you can frequently find, like, just if you actually want one of these specific things, I would ask your friends is the first thing I would do, your music friends. One of them probably has one kicking around a box, bottom of a box somewhere that they might just fucking give you. Or at least would be like willing to make you a good deal or a trade or something on, so you can experiment with it. The new one has a looper and some other stuff. I think they just keep adding to the effects algorithms. And the thing about this is it does have just a ton of effects. The downside is none of them are all that great. They're all fine. Like, very few of them are unusable, but very few of them are you're going to fire up and be like, oh, hell yeah, that's amazing. Like, I freaking love that. You probably find, like, in each category, there's one or two that sort of stand out a little bit, and the rest are just fine. But, I mean, that's fine, too. Certainly, if you're playing live, fine is probably all you need, like playing over some shitty PA speakers and God knows what kind of club, outdoors where you're competing with everyone else at the Ren Fair, wherever you're playing. It may very well not matter that the quality of your effects is fine. Whereas, if you are working with a DAW, like probably the built-in effects in your DAW, your digital audio workstation, are going to be at the same quality or better as anything you'll get out of this. So, it's something to consider. There probably are third-party hacks for this. Yeah. Sorry, I'm reading reading all this stuff. That's alright. Yeah, it's fine, right? Like, all these are just fine. Eldritch 48, I honestly, I don't know what your situation is. If you have a lot of musician friends, you might be surprised. Or you go to musician get-togethers or whatever, you might be surprised. Like, make a friend and ask. Ask them. Sometimes if you ask if you can have something from someone, they'd be a little weird about it. What I would ask is if you can borrow it, and probably what'll happen is you'll borrow it and they will never ask for it back. And it'll become yours de facto. To answer the question, to start a pedal, you can figure out what sort of thing you like and then go get units better. Right, that is very much it. So it'll carry you for a while. Do you think you use DAW VF? So, it would just depend on the track. I've used this in tracks. If I was striving for the highest possible quality and I wasn't looking for something specific that this was doing, I would probably just use DAW effects. Certainly I do. I don't use this very often. I've had it for 4 years, and I've used it on a half a dozen tracks, 10 maybe, mostly towards the beginning of when I had it. And now I will pull it out when I need something. And part of that is I have better, cooler external effects that I like better. But the person who requested this has one of these. That was one of the reasons I used it. And also it's a good one to demonstrate on because adds, if you will, an epicness to things. I chose it because, the person who requested this had one, and just because lots of people have them, and it's a good one to show people stuff on. Like, I could have used a quadriverb, but you wouldn't be able to see the screen at all. I know you probably can only see this kind of. And maybe I would make some gear lust for people who want to own a quadriverb, but like, what's the point of that? Like, the quadriverb is cool. You can go watch Heimbach tell you about that shit. Um, yeah, so this is just a good effects pedal for just it's worth having around, like especially if you ever play live or like jam with people or whatever. It's kind of cool to have it. If you're like, again, a heavily DAW based person, it's probably not necessary, unless you're trying to play live. The person who requested this specifically said that they were going for kind of a minimal setup with the MicroFreak and the MS-70 CDR. They didn't mention any other gear. I don't know if that's the full setup. So I just wanted to show what you could do with that. And it's a lot, right? I mean, you can, just with this simple program, this chorus, delay, and reverb, and we got a simple ARP here. Alright, so this is without effects. And this is with effects. It's obviously just more interesting, right? It's just bigger, there's more going on, it sounds more polished, it sounds more finished, it sounds better. And so, yeah, it's a nice complement. It is nice. I will say this, if you're doing hardware, it is nice to have some effects, some hardware effects for your hardware sets. So if they don't have built-in, like of the synths I have built-in, hardware synths I own, the Op6 has built-in effects, the MicroFreak doesn't, the Mini Brute doesn't, and the modular, it does because I included some effects units in there. The JV880 does. So most of them have hardware, and then like the Strega kind of does, the Ocos does not. And yeah, I think, is that it for my hardware synths these days? Oh, I also have a Drum Brute. That's a drum machine effect, but yeah. And then I also have some toys, and the Somatera has built-in effects. I forgot about that. Drum Brute Impact does not. So yeah, I like to keep a few hardware effects around. I mostly, if I'm going to use hardware effects these days, I'm probably more likely going to use one of the vintage units that I have. Like I have a quadriverb in a rack, and I've got a Lexicon Vortex sitting over here on my desktop. But it's nice to have something nice and simple, like this little desktop unit that I can whip out, and it's just got a ton of stuff in it. So that's nice. Hey, let's try a flanger on here. Some overload there, yeah. Where you're clipping the shit out of those inputs. A flanger's a comb filter, basically, so you can get some weird peaks on it. Maybe I should just turn it down at the source. I don't think, like, for example, asking about the quality of these, the chorus is okay. I don't think the flangers are particularly good. There's one or two of them that are okay, but overall, like, there's not very many of them. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 flangers is all. If you don't have a DAW, Donner Octave guitar pedal. Oh, that sounds cool. Audio pills, yeah. Right. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up with all this chat. Oh, you got a Juno 106 by borrowing it from someone and just keeping it? Yeah, that clipped like crazy. Okay, so right, Donner Octave guitar pedal. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I've also... Sorry, excuse me here. Lean over. Like, I have this thing here. My initial plan was to set up a demo of it as well, but I couldn't find I'm still not fully unpacked. I couldn't find the power supply for it. So I decided to stick with the Micro Stomp. Yeah, this is just a little boutique guitar pedal that's modeled after a Benson Echo Rec, which was the Echo unit used on Pink Floyd's Live at Pompeii. Famously, the Echoes track on the B-side uses the Benson Echo Rec, and that's a recreation of that. Um, we can look at some of these. There's a bunch of, speaking of octave, let's try an octave effect on here. Alright, sounds okay. It's kind of fun. Oh, here's a pitch shifter. Shift 7 semitones. Shift an octave. Go down. Oh, we can. More pitch shifters. There's another chorus. Ring modulator. It's got some unusual effects as well. Here's this was a what do you call it? A clone of the famous Boss chorus, the CE5. You can also, there's a bunch of different echoes, like that was the tape delay is what I was using there. There's a modulated delay. Let's see what the mod is. Oops. Page. Yeah, so it's modulation rate. Go fast so we can really hear it. Alright, so that's modulating the delay time. Second mod delay. This is like supposed to be a clone of a memory man. Reverse delays, multi-tap delays, filter delay, pitch shifting delay, stereo delay, more tape delays. I think these are all supposed to be clones of different things. Slapback, smooth, lo-fi. A lot of effects in here. It's kind of annoying, honestly. It'd probably be easier to just have fewer effects with more controls, because I'm sure most of these are the same algorithms with just additional controls or kind of units bolted into them, if you will. You know what I mean? Gosh, have we gone through everything? And then there's like the compressors and stuff on here. They're not very good. I would definitely not rely on those for anything meaningful. But oh, here's a comb filter. Not a very good comb filter. Auto walk. So that's a bandpass filter with an envelope follower. Resonator. Crybaby. Clone. Filter. I was looking actually for the phasers is what I was looking for. Bunch of filters. So many effects. I must have passed them. Tremolos. Oh, there we go. Phasers. And you can also, I've got just this kind of standard 3, but look, you can add another effect. Let's actually add a filter of some kind. I don't know why. Just because we can, right? Parametric EQs, exciters, comb filters, auto wahs, resonance, cry, slow filter, there we go. And I put that after everything, so even the reverb and everything's coming through it. Oh yeah, that sounds interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty. There's lots of different multi-effects units. If you're looking for one that's actually cool, if you just want a hardware standalone multi-effect unit that's got a buttload of effects, this is actually a pretty good one. Like, I think I could probably update the firmware on this and even get more effects. If you just want a bunch of effects in a cheap little box. For higher end stuff, like Chroma Console has caught my eye. That's a really cool little, 4-unit effects kind of setup where each one has its own little suite of effects that you can swap in and out and chain them together. That looks great. The Empress, the Euroburo was real big for a while. The interface didn't really appeal to me, but I think Polyend has a new multi-effect out. Like, there's a lot of high-end choices. Low-end choices, this is probably it. If you are looking to spend under $150, this multi-stomp is probably, or one of Zoom's other pedals. They also offer a couple different guitar and bass configurations that are essentially the same. Like, some of them have foot pedal controllers and stuff built in, but if you're looking to spend under $150 for a standalone multi-effects unit that isn't vintage, the Zoom is probably your only choice. Some other interesting options are, if you want to go vintage, you can pick up a quad reverb for about $150. And that'll do a classic chorus, delay, reverb setup, as well as some more unusual things. And you can pretty easily, if you don't buy one that's a quad reverb plus, you can pretty easily buy a ROM and swap it out to turn it into a quad reverb plus, and then you have like a resonator and ring modulator and some other cool effects. That's a little too esoteric for you. You can buy an iPad and a cheap audio interface for it, and then maybe $60 or $70 worth of apps, and use in some free apps, and use it as a standalone multi-effects unit with a touchscreen interface and all that. But that works pretty well, actually, surprisingly well. That's one of the things I have meant to do with mine. I haven't really done it too much, but I've certainly used some effects on it and whatnot, and they sound great. There's a lot of options. You can get a lot of, like, the Eventide stuff is essentially identical to the VST plugins, but cost a third as much or whatever. So, Soma has a new effects box. Oh yeah, right. Yep, I was just been watching streamer whose music I covered in other people's music. Bartok has put out a bunch of content on that, and yes, that is a very tempting box. It's $750, so I'm probably not going to do it. That's as I'm using more and more computer-based stuff, I am trying to, degasify myself and not buying high-end effects units as part of that, for sure. Is there any questions about this Soma Warp, right? That about using effects in general, or about this in particular that y'all have that I can answer before we're done? We got about 10 minutes left. I'd be happy to answer any questions about using effects with synthesizers, about this synthesizer or effects unit in particular, or anything else actually for that matter. And what you think about that? I think I might mention doing this January thing. If you haven't been checking that out, you can subscribe to my channel. I'm doing a jam a day. I've got 6 up so far because 6 days passed so far. Today's the 7th day. And yeah, it's been fun. I got a list of prompts that I will, or you can find on my Blue Sky, link to it. I'll try and put it up again, and when I post it again, actually, I'm sure the link is now hard to find. Yeah, just doing these little improv jams, if you will, once a day to keep limber musically, I guess is what the point of it is. Come up with some new ideas on the fly, have a little fun. And it's been pretty fun. It's definitely been, already I'm in the thing where I when it comes time to sit down to do it, I start to dread it. But then once I actually start, so far every night I've had just a banger of a time, just a really good time, and that's some pretty interesting results. Oh well, thank you, Dead Insects. Um, I've experimented with feedback to some degree, not with this unit, but with some other stuff like in modular. I definitely have feedback patching is kind of a classic modular dealio, and I've definitely done some stuff with that. You can what I would say with that stuff is it's incredibly powerful. You can get some just insane effects, like the kind of stuff that you're like, oh, this is gonna like literally cut reality in half and give us a portal to another dimension. But it's also can be kind of dangerous for your ears and even for your gear, depending on what what you're doing. Because you can definitely blow up speakers with feedback. You can blow up your ears if you're not being careful. So I'm a fan of feedback patching. You do have to be very careful. If you don't have a limiter or something in the mix or at the very end of it, like after the feedback loop, but before your speakers, for example, that's probably your safest thing to do is put a hardware limiter between the after the feedback loop, before your speakers, so that either before it goes into the mixer or maybe coming out of the mixer into a limiter and then into your speakers. So that you don't damage any equipment. You can actually even damage your mixer with high enough levels of feedback, but I think that's less likely. The thing that you're most likely to damage is your speakers and your ears, so and your headphones, I guess, potentially as well. Something to keep in mind. But yes, big fan of feedback patching. Thanks for appreciate the jamming away comments from both Dead Insects and Rabbit. I appreciate that. It's been fun. It's from my perspective, it's been a little bit of a mixed bag. The thing, of course, that I was trying to remind myself is that it's they're supposed to be. The point isn't to make something that's polished and super excellent, top-notch recording. The point is to engage with it day after day for the entire month, to really flex your creativity, and to just kind of have fun with it, right? So that's what I've been trying to do: have fun with it, and yeah, the results that have come out, they're all interesting. I will say that. Some are more interesting than others. Definitely having fun with that roar effect and some of the presets that, making some of that weird side trance and side chill, whatever you want to call it, stuff, and expanding on that, building it out. So I'll probably continue with that with some other bits here and there over time. Yeah, right. The mixers, it's not impossible to destroy a mixer with feedback patching, but it's not easy either. Like that's, you have to really, you'll definitely destroy your ears before you will damage your mixer. But if you're not, say if you switch your speakers off but this feedback loop is still going, it can conceivably, at least, it's not out of the question that it can the feedback can build up to the level where it'll burn a channel of your mixer out. I've never done it myself. I've heard of it happening. Not from the kind of people who would just tell that as a story to be like, oh, look how cool I am, but more just like people who are like, holy shit, I can't believe I actually blew out a channel of this mixer by letting this thing go on, get out of hand. But yeah, I've never done it myself, but that's what I've heard, is you can fuck things up pretty good. Yeah, for sure. I listened to it briefly and then filed it away. I noticed you pulled it down, so hopefully I've not misplaced it. I did download it, so hopefully I can find it when the time comes. But if I'm bothering you frantically one night for you to email it to me, that's why. It's because I misplaced the recording that I downloaded. So okay, well that's this is a little bit of a short one, but this is a pretty basic topic. So it's not like it's. I mean, I could say more, probably, but I mean, I can always say more. Oh, darn it. I did want to delete that. Okay, let's delete. Enter. Yes, I'm sure. Yes. There we go. I guess I'll just play a few more sounds here. I will be making more of these MicroFreak sounds available. So if you have a MicroFreak, I think one of y'all in chat said you did, and you want some of these sounds. They're actually, a bunch of them are currently available on Gumroad. If you go to etherdiver.gumroad.com, you can, there's 23 you can download for free, and then another 23 you can download for, I think, $3. I will say that literally no one has ever paid me $3 to download the sounds, so I guess that says something about the quality of the free ones. I don't know. Maybe people are just that cheap. But anyway, you can grab the free ones. I plan on re-uploading them to my Ko-Fi at some point, but yeah. I guess that's the other real quick news. I did my fundraiser. I reached my $220 goal. Thanks for everyone. I think maybe some of y'all kicked into that. Oh, weird. Yeah, I clicked on the link last night and the message, it said, maybe I wasn't logged in or something. It couldn't find it anyway, but it's fine. I'm pretty sure I downloaded it, so it doesn't really matter. But if I do need it, I'll just hit you up again. Or I'll double check and it'll still be there. But yeah. Oh gosh, what was I saying? I'm sorry. Chain of thought got derailed, didn't it? Oh, right, my fundraiser. And I currently have another fundraiser up. I know it's a lot of fundraising. So my intention is I'm not trying to make a living off doing all this stuff, but I am a professional writer. That's how I make my money. I have family business interests that I manage as well that are not interesting at all. That is also part of how I make my money. But what I actually do for skilled thing, rather than just pushing buttons, signing papers, and occasionally saying yes or no to something. What I do for skilled labor is I write. That's create videos, video essays, educational content. I hate the word content, but educational videos, educational articles on synth programming and sound design. That's what I do for money. That's what I'm trying to do for money. And so I'm trying to get paid for it. And I'm not trying to run ads. I'm not trying to do sponsored posts and do a lot of these sort of like integrity impacting things that people do to make money in this sphere. I'm very fortunate that I don't need to make a living off of it. I'm not trying to make $5,000 a month doing this, or $10,000 a month doing this. I have enough, between the business interests I mentioned, my other writing gigs. I have enough that I really only need to make $1,000 would be great a month. $3,000 would be immense, huge, like out of the question. I wouldn't even know what to do with all that money. But yeah, $1,000 a month is kind of what I'm targeting. I don't expect to do that this year. I don't probably expect to do it next year, but maybe the year after. And so I've got a fundraiser going for. I'm trying to now start with $150 a month. I probably will not even do that this year, to be completely honest. In donations for the writing, for other people's music, for the streaming, for my how to synth guide, sound design content, all that stuff. Trying to raise $150 a month from people who are using it and enjoying it. So if you are in a position, if you are using and enjoying that stuff, right? If you're not, maybe you just come to hang out here because one of your friends did, and that's fine. This doesn't apply to you. But if you're using and enjoying that stuff, you're getting something out of it, and you're in a position where giving $5 or $10 once or even monthly is not impactful to you, it's not something that you're going to feel in your pocketbook, then I would love it if you would help kick in to make that happen. And if you're not in that position, but you still want to help out for whatever reason, because you just think I'm that cool, just spread the word, share these videos, share other people's music, convince your musician friends to check it out and or to watch my videos about synthesizers and whatever. And maybe one of them will have $10 that they want to kick down. You know, that's how it works. You can follow me here on YouTube. You can like this video. That helps. You can follow me on Blue Sky if you're not already. Follow me on Mastodon if you're not already. Follow me on Ko-Fi if you're not already. Yeah, whatever you can do to just tell people about what I'm doing and help me build an audience. That's what I'm going to try and concentrate on here in 2026 is building an audience. I've got a nice core audience. The people that show up for my streams every week, you all are fantastic. You are amazing. If I could get 3 times as many of you to show up, like I feel like now there's a core of like 3 to 5 people that come on a pretty regular basis. If I could get 15 people to come on a regular basis, I feel like this could really be something. Yeah, so that's what I'm trying to do this year is expand my reach, make a little bit of money, justify the time that I'm spending on this. That's really what it comes down to. Unfortunately, although I am relatively comfortable, all things considered, certainly and privileged, and I'm not trying to this is not a mutual aid thing at all. This is, just the bottom line is I have to contribute a certain amount of money to my family's well-being every month. It's my portion of the grocery bill, if you will. And if I can't do it doing this kind of stuff, I have to do it doing more of the sort of day job stuff I do. I write about pickup trucks and manage a website about pickups. That's what I do in my day job. It's part-time, but I have to take on more hours doing stuff like that, find another gig like that if I can't make the money doing this. And that means less time to do this. So that's basically what it boils down to. Okay, I've rambled enough. I've begged for money enough. It's been fun. Thank you all for hanging out. Yeah, let me know what you think of the format of this one. This was definitely a little loosey-goosey. The technical difficulties might have thrown me off a little bit. And, I was kind of free-forming it. I knew I had 15 or 20 minutes of solid stuff. And I was able to stretch that out to about 40. But, maybe I should have had a little B-roll as well. Let me know what you think. And I'm going to check these comments one more time, see if there's any more questions. Long-term playing is more important than making... Yeah, for real. Oh, wow, really? That's crazy. Yeah, $1,000 a month to me is like... so, right now, how much is that? Yeah, I'm trying to sort out all this. I live in California. It's very expensive here. My family of 4, right? So I'm married. I have 2 children. They're one's a teenager, one's a preteen. My grocery bill alone is $1,000 a month, or $1,200, $1,500 a month sometimes. And my mortgage is almost $4,000 a month. I pay, electrical bills several $100s a month. Gas is a couple $100s a month. Car insurance, health insurance, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, anyway, if I was a single guy living in a smaller, cheaper place, I could probably live off, say, $3,000 a month. That's $36,000 a year. Yeah, that's probably, in the United States, it's pretty hard to live as a single person for less than that. I mean, you can manage, it's just very difficult. And you really need closer to $50,000 a year probably to live anything like a comfortable life. And yeah, as a family of 4, right, in California, in order for us to be, and again, look, I don't miss meals, okay? I don't miss doctor appointments. If I need to go to the doctor, I go. So I don't want anyone to ever think that what my situation is anything like mutual aid. Like you not giving me $5, all it means is that I'm going to have to go earn that $5 doing something less interesting. That's all it means. That 2 hours that I would need to, or 10 minutes I would need to work rather to create that $5. I can't do it here. I have to do it writing about pickup trucks or writing SEO content for some other bullshit websites, that kind of stuff, right? So that's what it comes down to. Yeah, it is crazy. California is. I do live in a particularly expensive place too. That's part of it. But this has gone way afield. Maybe we can continue this discussion on social media if there's interest. But thank you all for hanging out. This was definitely an unusual one. I hope it was useful. Particularly, hope it was useful to the person that requested it. Apologies. If not, hey, I'll take another crack at it. If you get back to me and you're like, this is some bullshit, actually, this did not work for me at all, then I will take another crack at it. But otherwise, thank you all for hanging out. You guys are all wonderful. I've really been enjoying doing the streaming. And yeah, keep an eye out for more of those January tracks and posts about it. And stay safe. See you next week. And we'll pick up there with something else. I'm not sure what. Maybe we'll do. I thought about doing a January stream. Let me know if that's something that people think would be cool to like watch me do a track live, probably in Ableton. Build a track, a little jam track over the course of an hour live, something like that. Or the other thing I was thinking about was. I have a whole list of different synth topics and whatever, so I can just go through that. But yeah, anyway, let me know what you think, and we'll go from there. And have a nice rest of your day.